Hao. Welcome back to another video. Sorry, it's been a while since my last one, but I've been, haven't been really too busy. I had kind of a hectic week last week, but I'm actually on vacation right now, and I've been a little lazy, kind of recuperating from the last semester. But anyway, this is going to be a special video focused primarily on the James Bond franchise. If you don't know already, next year we will finally be getting another James Bond movie. It would be the 25th, I think, official James Bond movie in the franchise, air quotes. Daniel Craig will be returning, but there is no title as of yet. I think it's probably shooting right now, or it's may have been finished shooting. And all I got to say is they sure took their sweet time on this. It's going to come out next year in 2020. I'm guessing probably in November, I don't remember if Quantum of Solace came out in November, but I remember pretty much since GoldenEye, I think they've all come out. Maybe not Die Another Day. I'm not sure about Die Another Day, but I know like the first three Pierce Brosnan movies came out in either November or December. And I'm not sure about Casino Royale either. Not sure when that came out. I know, but I remember Skyfall. I'm not sure about Quantum of Solace either, but I remember Skyfall and Spectre both came out in November. So I'm guessing probably the next one will come out in November or so of 2020. So still quite a ways away. So if it does, it'll be 5 long years in between chapters. And I think that's just a little too long. I think probably the longest gap between Bond films was between the last Timothy Dalton one. What was that? License to Kill and GoldenEye. Yeah, that was like a 6-year gap there. But anyway, I think they should have done this sooner. But anyway, so first up, apparently, looks like James Bond may be jumping onto the shared universe franchise. Bandwagon franchise. Shared universe franchise. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so recently the rights to the James Bond franchise went up for sale, and rather than simply draw up their own sociopathic spy characters with British accents and bland names, corporate giants like Amazon and Apple were trying to get their paws on 007. Why? Well, with both companies looking to dominate streaming, rumors surfaced that they wanted to create a sort of Bond universe in which every nook and cranny of Bond's fictional world could be explored, probably with characters actually named Nook and Cranny. Spinning Bond off into a TV universe could allow producers to, say, give Bond's American pal Felix Leiter his own show. Or how about a sitcom about how Team Blofeld resents his adopted brother James? Universal ended up snagging the rights to Bond, and sure enough, they recently announced their own streaming service. So it's not inconceivable that a Bondverse is still in play. The most prominent rumors seem to suggest that a Bond spin-off wouldn't focus on Bond himself, but rather a young female agent who could be set up in the next movie. A young female, so they're going to have a spin-off TV show about a new female agent. Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know about that. I guess it could be good. I've been surprised before, with the advent of Netflix original TV shows that aren't constrained by network regulations. We have some of the best TV shows in history right now. it could be good. I mean, the Bond universe is a very creatively rich place with a lot of interesting characters. But I don't know about introducing a young female agent just to have her own TV show. I mean, I might maybe, but this could be good. I mean, I like this idea more about Felix Leiter having his own show, or obviously not a sitcom. That was being totally sarcastic. But maybe a show about a young Blofeld could be interesting. But anyway, while nothing has been officially announced, it certainly seems like a possibility, especially with Bond rival Jason Bourne similarly spinning into a TV series Treadstone. Okay, you know, I've never watched one single Jason Bourne movie, and I'm not sure why. I'm sure if I did, I would enjoy it. I mean, I know they've been very successful at the box office, but I just can't get excited enough to watch them. Just the idea of Matt Damon as a super spy is just hard for me to wrap my head around. So I don't know about this new TV series, and I'm sure it's not going to have Matt Damon, or I wonder if he'll even have Jason Bourne. I don't know. Probably you Jason Bourne fans will know what this treadstone word means. I personally don't know what it means. And let us not forget that the Bond universe has previously expanded to tell the story of Bond's illegitimate nephew. Yeah, nephew. That I think they're probably talking about James Bond Jr., this cartoon that I think came out in the 80s. But next up, so this is apparently an old rumor. This is an old article from March of last year, but I just learned about it while reading the previous article yesterday. There's apparently rumors that James Bond may die in the new movie. So it says here, James Bond 25 is Daniel Craig's final 007 film, but will producers be bold enough to kill him off before the inevitable reboot? So I mean, what this is saying is, even if he does die, it won't be the end of James Bond. They'll just start over again. So later this year, the 50-year-old star will shoot his fifth and final James Bond movie. Since 2006's Casino Royale, his incarnation has pushed the boundaries of the franchise with its modern gritty vibes, and with a through narrative across his films. I've never heard that expression, through narrative, but I understand what it's talking about. So, when they did Casino Royale and Daniel Craig took over the role of James Bond, as many other actors have done, they did something very different than they had ever done before when other actors had taken over the role. See, in all the movies before Casino Royale, those all basically took place in the exact same universe. Pierce Brosnan's Bond was basically the same Bond as Sean Connery's Bond. I mean, not literally, but it's like when they got a new Darren on Bewitched, you know. It was the same character basically, but and we know that for a couple of reasons. First of all, Desmond Llewellyn, who played Q, he was the Q for all of the actors who played James Bond before Daniel Craig, and also in every movie after On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Bond was always a widower for Tracy. So, but then Daniel Craig came along and he had to be Mr. Special. Well, I know it wasn't him, but just being sarcastic. But so Casino Royale did not take place in the same universe as all the other Bonds. They completely started over from scratch. And I mean, that was pretty obvious because the movie was about James Bond's first mission, which, you know, if they were going to start off from scratch, I mean, I could deal with that, but I think Daniel Craig was just a little too old to be playing a James Bond going on his maiden mission. I think he was 38 when he took over the role, and that just seems a little old for someone to be starting their career as a spy. But anyway, that's what they did, and so I guess that's what this expression through narrative, that means his James Bond is a completely different James Bond than the other James Bonds or the other James Bond. And yeah, it's like one long story, and I was actually worried about them doing this. I didn't like them doing this. I figured, okay, they would start over from scratch, but then once Daniel Craig stepped down, they would stick with that universe. But apparently, they're not going to do that. As soon as Daniel Craig leaves, this universe is done. And they will get a new James Bond, but he's going to have his own universe. But I mean, is that what they're going to do for every actor now who plays James Bond? They're going to have their own universe and it's going to be a completely different character. I really don't like that idea. And that's one of the things I really didn't like about Skyfall is like you went from him in just 3 movies, you went from him starting his career to being almost over the hill. It was like, what are you going to do when Daniel Craig finally steps down? I mean, and I didn't like the idea of them starting over again, but so I guess the next actor to play James Bond is going to be the movie is going to be like Casino Royale, and it's going to be him going on his maiden mission again, probably. But anyway, moving on with this article. Will 007 producers be bold enough to allow his Bond to die at the end? After all, this is something that surprised many Wolverine fans when Hugh Jackman bowed out in Logan last year after playing the character across 9 X-Men movies. Wolverine, like Bond, will of course be recast for a reboot eventually, so killing off Craig's 007 isn't out of the question, especially if it's as meaningful, sacrificial, and redemptive as Logan's. Okay, well, I have a few things to say about this. I did not like Logan. I'm okay. I'm okay with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, even though he is a foot taller than the character should be. But I didn't like any of the solo Wolverine movies, and I remember when Logan came out, there was so much excitement about it, about how great it was, and how they finally got it right. But I went to go see it, and I mean, it wasn't as bad as the first solo Wolverine movie. Um, I don't think it was, I don't know how I should put this. I mean, I didn't think the Wolverine was very good, but I think it was better than Logan. I mean, I think Logan, it was just like they just put in violence just to try to like shock people and to try to get an R rating. And I like action and violence, but you also have a good story at the very core of a movie. That's the most important thing. For Logan, it was like 90% um, unnecessary violence and 10% story. And I didn't think it was very logical. I didn't like it at all. So, and now they're here saying that they might kill off Bond because they killed off Logan and it was so great. Now, I didn't think it was great. I mean, Wolverine's, yeah, okay. Maybe this is a discussion for another video, but Logan, very overrated movie. Okay, so moving on. There are at least 2 signs that the Bond producers would be willing to let this happen. First off, they let M die for the first time in 50 years at the end of Skyfall, which of course was a bold move. Okay, is bold the right word? That's another thing I didn't like about Skyfall. Now, Skyfall was a beautiful movie. I mean, the cinematography, the direction was great, but I don't think it was as perfect as a lot of people say it was. And I'm surprised nobody ever talks about is Bond failed in his mission in Skyfall. I mean, his mission was to protect M, and he failed. She ended up getting killed. I mean, so I don't think that was a good move to make. Okay, secondly, the latest Hollywood sources claim that Craig and 007 producers Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson have had a meeting with director Danny Boyle and Transpotting screenwriter John Hodge. Allegedly, all were impressed with their idea, which is said to be pure movie gold, okay? If Logan is the bar for pure movie gold, it should be more like pure movie crap. The source added, Craig loves the fact that it's something completely different. He has not signed up for more of the same old Bond, assuming they go ahead with Boyle and Hodge, which I'm pretty sure they're not. I think Danny Boyle dropped out. We could be seeing a radical ending for Craig's era, one that perhaps is brave enough to let the famous spy die a good health. So, what do you think? I'm sure there are a lot of fans out there that would actually support this move, but I do not think it would be a good move at all. I don't want to see James Bond die, not even Daniel Craig. And I think Daniel Craig is overrated as James Bond, but I'm going to talk more about that later. But even though I do think he's overrated, he's not one of my favorite Bonds. I don't want to see James Bond die. That's just, I don't think that would be good movie making. Okay. Moving on. So, sure a lot of you are wondering just how much money is James Bond, is Daniel Craig getting for the fifth installment. Now, I heard reports of him getting like $50 million, but according to this, it's only going to be $25 million only. Yeah. Okay. And I'd like to spend a little bit more time on this, kind of delving away from James Bond for a while. Let's look at this. It's kind of interesting. I've always been fascinated by actors' salaries. So this article talks about how actors' salaries actually, they're kind of not as crazy as they used to be. So it says movie stars don't shine as brightly as they did a decade ago. In the 90s and early aughts. Aughts? I don't know what an aught is. Google it, I guess, but I've never heard that word. The likes of Julia Roberts, Will Smith, Tom Hanks, and Jim Carrey routinely commanded salaries of $20 million for every film they anchored, plus enjoyed substantial profit participation from the first ticket sold at the box office. Those glory days are essentially gone, and the number of actors who can demand pay packages on that order is ever dwindling. Part of the problem is that costume superheroes and Jedi Knights became the big attraction at movie theaters. The size of a film's opening weekend no longer hinges on the popularity of the actors who grace its poster. Special effects are the stars these days, and the place where studios are spending the bulk of their money. But don't weep for Hollywood A-listers. They're doing just fine. Thank you very much. A few actors, such as Dwayne Johnson, Vin Diesel, and Robert Downey Jr., can even still receive north of $20 million for a big movie. Though those checks are usually handed out for only major franchise installments and often are tied to reaching a significant number at box office milestones. I think I actually heard that Robert Downey Jr. got $75 million for the first Avengers movie. I mean, not up front, but after his percentage from his points for the movie. I mean, that is just crazy. I mean, especially when you consider the fact he was probably only in the movie about 33% of the time. But anyway, I kind of like this, knowing that actor salaries haven't gone completely out of control. It's been over 20 years since I think Jim Carrey was the first guy to get $20 million. I think that's going to be talked about in the next article. But anyway, I'm kind of surprised actor salaries aren't more crazy, but still they are pretty ridiculous. Anyway, Donnie's performance as Iron Man is so profitable that he makes a mint for glorified cameo appearances. The actor picked up $10 million for roughly 15 minutes of screen time in Spider-Man Homecoming. Getting him to show up for an Iron Man-centric adventure will take more than twice that amount. Yeah, I think I heard he got I don't know if this is true, but I seem to remember reading that he got $40 million for Captain America Civil War, which really should have been called Iron Man 4. Let's see, other actors are willing to juggle art and commerce, even if it means taking a salary cut. Leonardo DiCaprio is worth $20 million in a crowd pleaser like Inception, but he's halving his salary for Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in order to trigger a sprawling historical epic with dicey commercial prospects. Often stars are being asked to bet on themselves. Actors and directors who work for the low-budget horror film specialist Blumhouse receive only scale, which amounts to a few $1,000s a week and helps the production keep its costs low. In exchange, they receive a taste of the film's back end, which can lead to a rich payday, as Ethan Hawke found when he appeared in 2013's The Purge. The film topped out at $89.3 million worldwide, giving Hawke a $2 million bonus. Studios have gotten stingier about cutting stars in on the share of the profits from big budget movies. Good. Preferring to keep much of the spoils of a box office blockbuster for themselves, but that's not always possible. Diesel, for instance, made the first Fast and Furious back in 2000 at a time when no one envisioned a film about hot-rodding criminals being able to inspire an 8-part multi-billion-dollar franchise. Yeah, no kidding. I remember reading on the Box Office Guru one time I think it was when Fast and Furious 6 came out, he called it the most improbable franchise in movie history, and I definitely agree with that. Okay, but anyway, moving on. That's enabled Diesel to drive richer and richer deals as the film series has continued, including securing a producer credit as well. With performance bonuses taken into account, Diesel received in excess of $20 million for the most recent installment, 2017's The Fate of the Furious. And okay, you know what? I don't think that's so outrageous, but what some of you may not know is that one big reason that Vin Diesel was not in the second Fast and the Furious movie is because he demanded a paycheck of $30 million. And, after 8 movies, he still hasn't gotten that demand. So I think that's really interesting. More recently, Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt were able to score big raises for the sequel to Jurassic World after their first film dominated the box office, and Patty Jenkins re-upped to direct a sequel to Wonder Woman for a massive $9 million payday, more than triple what she made for the first film. Well, good for her. Sometimes stars don't even have to wait for films to cross box office milestones before they get their checks in the mail. Actors on the level of Tom Cruise or a Brad Pitt can demand their bonuses paid up front, really, before shooting has wrapped or a film has been released. And there are other ways to goose a pay package. Want access to Johnson's 104 million Instagram followers? It's going to cost you. The Rampage star is asking for $1 million social media fee as part of his package for the upcoming Red Notice. That includes promoting the film on the likes of Twitter and Facebook. Jesus Christ. Okay, here's a list of star salaries. I didn't even see this. I kind of had this in the next article. Maybe I can skip it. But so Daniel Craig's at the top of the list with $25 million for Bond 25. Says it's coming out in 2019, but it's not. It's coming out in 2020. Dwayne Johnson getting $22 million for Red Notice. That reminds me when Dwayne Johnson was paid $10 million like 15 years ago to be in Red Scorpion. How successful was that movie? Vin Diesel, $20 million for The Fate of the Furious. Anne Hathaway, Barbie. Okay, $15 million. Jennifer Lawrence, Red Sparrow, $15 million. Now, Jennifer Lawrence, she deserves $15 million. I don't know if Anne Hathaway deserves $15 million to play Barbie. Seth Rogen, Flarsky. I don't know anything about Flarsky, but he's getting $15 million. I think that is outrageous. I'm not a big fan of Seth Rogen. Tom Cruise got between 11 and 13 million for The Mummy. So, yeah, he's kind of getting up there in years. Harrison Ford. This kind of surprised me. This is kind of surprising. This surprised me a bit. Only 10 to 12 million dollars, but I'm sure he's getting also a big chunk of the profits. But only 10 to 12 million upfront for Indiana Jones 5. Yes, they are making another Indiana Jones with Harrison Ford. Okay, that's another discussion for another video. Sandra Bullock got $10 million for Minions. Seems kind of a lot for being a supporting character. I've never seen any of those movies. I mean, I don't know if that was her first time playing that character. I don't even know what the character was, but that seems kind of high. Leonardo DiCaprio, $10 million for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Robert Downey Jr., $10 million for Spider-Man. Kevin Hart, $10 million for Jumanji. Chris Pratt, $10 million for Jurassic World 2. That's kind of surprising. Okay. He must have got a big piece of the profits. Emily Blunt, $8 to $10 million for Jungle Cruise. I don't think Emily Blunt's track record is good enough for her to be getting $10 million for a picture. Bryce Dallas Howard, $8 million for Jurassic World. Tom Hardy, $7 million for Venom. That's reasonable. Ryan Gosling, First Man, $6.5 million. I don't know. Came out last year. I don't remember that movie. Jack Black, $5 million for Jumanji. Okay. Michael B. Jordan, $3 to $4 million for Creed 2. Wow. That's a little surprising after appearing in the biggest comic book movie of all time. Ethan Hawke, $2 million for The Purge. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this is what I was talking about earlier. We're 20 years removed from the days when movie star salaries first exploded into the tens of millions of dollars. When Jim Carrey got a $20 million check to appear in The Cable Guy, it became such a huge news story that it almost doomed the film. He got paid how much to make that? Yeah, the movie was not very successful. Given how much bigger the movies have gotten in the intervening decades, it's sort of surprising that $20 million became kind of a plateau for stars. Actors can earn more, typically by foregoing a salary in exchange for a percentage of potential profits. But a new story in Variety reveals that the top paid stars in Hollywood today are in many cases failing to crack that ceiling that Carrey broke through in 1996. Variety also reveals that Daniel Craig, who previously said he'd rather slash his wrist than make another James Bond movie, is getting one of the biggest movie star paychecks in recent history for Bond 25, a whopping and weirdly appropriate $25 million. So $1 million for each Bond movie. In case you were wondering how much it costs to convince a very wealthy movie star not to kill himself and to instead make a movie where he plays the world's greatest spy. Yeah. Can you imagine that? I mean, here you are having a chance. I mean, you really don't have much of a career outside the franchise. I mean, what has Daniel Craig done besides James Bond? You know, I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm thinking he was in something. He did that David Fincher movie, but that wasn't really successful. Barely made more than its budget. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything significant he's done outside of James Bond since 2006. So here you are. This is your only chance, your best chance of being in a hit movie, and you're offered $20 million. Like, no, not enough. $20 million? No, you're gonna have to do better than that. 25 million? Okay, I'll go ahead and do one more time. Crazy. Okay, this is the same list pretty much. Okay, so yeah. So, as I was saying earlier, I think Daniel Craig is really overrated, and I think it's a misconception that he's the most popular James Bond movie. So, and I think, I'm a James Bond fan, but I actually think the whole James Bond series is a little overrated. I mean, you think about it, really, there haven't been that many great movies. Okay, so this is a list of the movies ranked in box office. Okay, so this includes I think this includes Never Say Never Again. Does it? Yeah. So there are 25 movies here, including Never Say Never Again, which was an unofficial Bond movie. Sorry. So let's go through them. Skyfall, number one. As I said before, a very beautifully shot movie, great cinematography, but not without its faults. Overall, it's a very good James Bond movie, not a great James Bond movie. Spectre, boring. I mean, maybe I said that a little too harshly. I mean, but it was a little boring, not super boring. It wasn't like Poltergeist 3 boring, but could have been a lot more exciting. And they spent like $245 million on this damn movie. Quantum of Solace, really not good. I don't know how this is number 3. I don't know how that movie made $168 million. Made just barely more than Casino Royale. Casino Royale, good. Pretty good. Close to great. It was very, very good. Very, very entertaining movie, Casino Royale. Die Another Day. Now, Pierce Brosnan is my personal favorite James Bond. And Daniel Craig, the only James Bond who I don't like better than him was Timothy Dalton. Like, here are my favorites in order. Pierce Brosnan, Roger Moore, and I know a lot of people say Sean Connery is the best, but in my view, I grew up on Roger Moore. Okay, so and I love Pierce Brosnan. GoldenEye is my favorite James Bond movie, but Pierce Brosnan, I think he's just the perfect James Bond. And I thought Roger Moore was a great James Bond, and actually, jeez, I I don't know. It's like it's very close between George Lazenby and Sean Connery for the next ones. I kind of want to say George Lazenby because I think Sean Connery is just really overrated. I mean, he was a good James Bond, but I think the reason why people just love him so much is because he was the first one. Okay. And then Daniel Craig, and then Timothy Dalton. Horrible, 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 horrible. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to this list. So, Skyfall was entertaining. Spectre, Quantum of Solace. Casino Royale was very entertaining. Die Another Day, very bad. World Is Not Enough, very boring. Tomorrow Never Dies, so. You know, this was Tomorrow Never Dies. That was like the first movie where I was like wrong about a movie after the first 5 minutes. I mean, like I believe you can usually tell how good a movie is going to be from the first 5 minutes. I saw Die Another Day. The first 5 minutes were spectacular, but after that, just kind of went downhill. I'm sorry. I mean, The World Is Not Enough. What happened? How did I got a little mixed up? Yeah. Oh yeah, Tomorrow Never Dies is the one. Good first 5 minutes of Tomorrow Never Dies, but the rest of the movie was a little flat. GoldenEye, greatest James Bond movie ever made. Moonraker had Jaws, man, the greatest James Bond villain of all time. Very good movie. Octopus, but that was, I mean, GoldenEye was freaking almost 25 years ago. God. Moonraker was, oh my God, it was 40 years ago. Moonraker came out. Octopussy, it was good. I liked it. Enjoyed Maud Adams. Was a great Bond girl. Thunderball, you know what? It's hard for me to even talk about Sean Connery's Bond movies because I don't really remember them very well. But so, and plus they all came out like over 50 years ago. So Never Say Never Again, pretty good. Uh, I know it was a Sean Connery movie, but um, still, almost what 36 years ago it came out. Golly. For Your Eyes, For Your Eyes Only, very, very good. One of Moore's best performances. The Living Daylights, boring. Goldfinger, a lot of people say the greatest James Bond movie ever. I don't agree, but good movie. A View to a Kill, no. Not a good final movie for Roger Moore. The Spy Who Loved Me, very, very good. This is a movie, that saved the franchise. If this movie hadn't done good, it would have been the last James Bond movie. Diamonds Are Forever. Oh, now this is one Sean Connery movie I do remember. It was bad. It was not good. And this was when Sean Connery. Of course, this isn't in the group of the first 5 Sean Connery movies. This was after On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and they were able to lure Sean Connery back. He just phoned it in. But really, overall, it was just a dumb movie. You Only Live Twice, Sean Connery, Live and Let Die, bad movie. License to Kill, actually I like this movie, even though it had Timothy Dalton in. I had a big crush on Carrie Lowe, and and this movie almost killed the Bond franchise too, but I actually liked it. I enjoyed it. From Russia with Love, yeah, I guess that was good. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, yeah, pretty good. Man with the Golden Gun, not good. Doctor No, don't remember anything about it. So, out of those, less than half were good. So let's see how many were good out of 25. Got 1, 2, no, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's say out of the 20. Let's not count the first 5 Sean Connerys. So out of 20, how many were good? Out of the last 20, how many were good? So we're up to 5. So that's half of the first 10. So we're not going to include that. Never Say Never Again. Okay, I'll say that was good. 6, For Your Eyes Only. Yes, good. 7, Living Daylights. No. Still at 7. Goldfinger. First 5. Not the last 20. View to a Kill. No. Still 7. Spy Who Loved Me. Yes. Good. Very good. 8, Diamonds Are Forever. First 5. You Only Live Twice. First 5. Live and Let Die. Nope. Not good. So we're still at 8. License to Kill. Yep. 9. From Russia with Love. First 5. 9. On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Okay. 10. Man with a Golden Gun. So half of the last 20 have been good, but how many have been really, would you call great? I mean, close to great. Which ones, how many have been really, really good? I'll say Skyfall. I'm going to include that, just barely. 1. Spectre. Nope. GoldenEye, yes, the best one ever. So that's 2. Moonraker. Okay, it had Jaws in it. 3. Octopussy, no, not great. Pretty good, but not great. Thunderball, Never Say No. For Your Eyes Only. Okay, I'm going to say great. So what's that? 4. Living Daylights, no. Goldfinger, no. View to a Kill, no. Spy Who Loved Me, yes. 5. And yeah, that's it. 5. I would say 5 were like really good. So 5 out of the last 20, that's like 25%, baseball, it's batting 250, not so great. And moving on, so a lot of people, as I was saying before, a lot of people think that Daniel Craig is just the greatest Bond, the most popular Bond. And you look at the rankings here, yes, the top 4 are his 4 Bond movies. But what happens if we, but this is not factoring in inflation. You know, the Bond series is like 60 years old. And if we go down to adjusted for inflation, look at Thunderball. Skyfall is at number 3. Thunderball made like more than twice as much as Skyfall. I mean, $675 million. That's like, I mean, the last movie to make that much domestically was Black Panther. And before that, you have to go to The Force Awakens. Yeah. So, I mean, those were really, really big movies. So, back when Sean Connery was doing James Bond, it was really, really popular. It was like, they were huge event movies. And look at the top 9. Daniel Craig only has 1 Bond movie in there. Pierce Brosnan has more in the top 9 when you count inflation. He has Die Another Day, Tomorrow Never Dies. Oh, excuse me, he only has 2 also. But, okay, so look at the top 12 though. In the top 12, Pierce Brosnan has all 4 of his Bond movies. Daniel Craig only has 2, Casino Royale and Skyfall. Spectre is number 14. I mean, look at, where's Dr. No? Dr. No is only 19. It's kind of surprising, but You Only Live Twice, $324 million. Almost what Skyfall did. That was, I think that's number 3 in the first 5 Sean Connery movies. So, yeah. I think that'll just about do it. Hopefully this gives you a better perspective on the Bond franchise, and I think that'll wrap it up. I went on a lot longer than I thought I would in this video, but if you stuck around this long, thank you very much. I'm going to let you go. Hope you all have a great day. Thanks for your attention, and see you next time.